Hey Lion Hi folks, it's Lev. Welcome back to another video. For those of you who are new, I use he and pronouns. Quick update, at the time of filming this video, I'm basically 2 weeks post-op and I'm managing to wear shirts that don't have button up now because I can put on shirts over my head. First week I've just been wearing button-up shirts. Not the topic of today's video, but just a quick update. Today's video that's been a long time coming. I've had this idea for a while now, but I just never got around to it. Food intolerances. Talking about food intolerances and my story with food intolerance. And I'm going to go from the very start. So I started getting unexplained abdominal pain starting 2016, early 2016. Before then, I had a medical condition called leukocytostatic vasculitis. It's where I had wounds on my legs and it was awful. And it was an autoimmune disease. And I believe that's still the thing that I go off. That's probably one of the best explanations is why I got food intolerance and stuff. Yeah, I got that condition that went into remission end of 2015, and then 2016 first year in uni, I started getting unexplained abdominal pain and it was really bad. It was more severe abdominal pain, and then I went to see GPs. I went to get a gastroscopy. A colonoscopy basically means the colonoscopy is they look up my large intestine, basically a camera up the butt. It's under anesthetic, basically camera up my butt to see the inside of my gut, and the gastroscopy comes down my throat and it's to see the stomach and the first part of the small intestine, I believe. Basically cameras up both ends of my system to see inside of my gut. And I think the first time I did that, I was diagnosed with gastritis, which is from memory, it's excess. It was I think it was acid in the stomach, too much acid in my stomach or something. It was damaging the lining or something along those lines. Don't quote me though. I don't remember what gastritis is exactly. I had that. It was moderate. And I remember I was on what is it? Gaviscon and a bunch of different meds for a while. Fast forward, I still had pain throughout 2016, 2017, 2018, and I tried so many different GPs for different opinions, and then I did all of this medical testing, not just gastroscopies and colonoscopies. I did ultrasounds and the one, I think there was an x-ray too, all of these medical diagnostic tests, and it came back negative. I think the meds did help with gastritis, but then that wasn't that was part of the problem, but that wasn't the entire problem. So I kept getting pain. I kept getting pain. With throughout the years, all the tests come back negative. And I kept getting annoyed. It's everything's negative, yet I'm still in severe pain. What's going on here? I also did blood tests and everything came back normal. It's anyway, yes, fast forward to 2018, I linked in with a different gastroenterologist, basically a doctor who specializes in gut health and gastro stuff and something else, I think. I also did a colonoscopy and gastroscopy there too. Gastritis was gone by that point in mid-2018. That was gone and that came back negative and I still was getting severe pain. And then the thing that told me I had food intolerance was something called a hydrogen methane breath test. And I remember doing this while I was doing assignments. That's how stubborn I was. I was doing medical. It was at home. So it was a kit that I brought home. I did the test and then I dropped the let me explain it actually. The hydrogen methane breath test is I there were like different sugars. Like food has a bunch of different sugars in it, right? And it tests different sugars like lactose, fructose, sucrose, the different types of sugars. And I remember, I think it was I mixed something with water. It's like a dissolvable tablet or powder. I don't remember exactly what it was. Likely powder. I mix it with water. I drink it, and then like a short period of time later, I blow my breath into this collectible bag thing, which end up being analyzed. Like that's the basically I did that for all the bunch of different sugars. Like drank the thing, wait a short period of time, and then blow into my breath into a bag. And then I did that for all the different sugars, and basically my bags of air, I took it to the clinic, and then they analyzed the results. And that's when I found out I have a bunch of food intolerance. And then turns out the reason I was in so much pain was because of my diet and my food. And I didn't know that. And that's why none of the medical tests showed up with anything, because it's what I'm experiencing is a functional. It's not, there's nothing like wrong with the function of my like intestines, my stomach itself. It's the problem is my oversensitive nerves, and it's something called visceral hypersensitivity. My nerves are just hypersensitive to certain sugars and doesn't respond well to it. That's why every time I eat it, I get pain, because the nerves in my gut are like, ah. Yeah. I'm gonna quickly touch on the difference between food intolerance and food allergy. So I have food intolerance, not food allergy. Food intolerance is like when I eat, like say, for example, I'm intolerant to onion, garlic, dairy, and gluten. Now, I'll get back to the story later. I'll explain more context. So if I have dairy, I get bloated really bad, and my entire gut feels clogged. Imagine like a pipe that is clogged with something and things can't pass through properly. Like a water pipe being clogged, for example. Things can't pass through, it's just clogged. That's what my gut feels like when I have dairy. Onion and garlic, I get pain. It's like my gut nerves don't like it. It's just pain. Pain. And I forgot, I think gluten is also pain. I don't know if it's bloating with gluten, but pain also. So that's like my body doesn't like it, but I don't get like anaphylaxis. I don't swell up. My throat doesn't get swollen where I can't breathe. So that's the difference between intolerance and allergy. Like it's not like a reaction where it's life-threatening or anything like that. Although it like that's formally the language, but then I still think of it as an allergy because my body doesn't like it. It's like my body doesn't like it. So, but technical terms, it's a food intolerance. What I have is food intolerance and not allergy. But I still think of it as an allergy, just not anaphylaxis. It's just like, I just think of it as allergies can manifest in different ways. Like I can't have penicillin because I get a really bad rash. That's still an allergy. I don't get anaphylaxis, but that's still an allergy. And every time the medical people ask me what my allergies are, I say penicillin, even though it's not anaphylaxis. So that's why the whole wording is confusing, but technically it's intolerance, but yeah. Yes, back to the story. So yes, I was diagnosed with food intolerance after I did the hydrogen methane breath test, and they analyzed the results. Lactose, aka dairy, was the worst one for me. Shortly after that, shortly after that, I was linked in with a dietitian at the clinic, and I started what is called a low FODMAP diet, and it was developed by Monash University. I'm still on the diet today, just to a less stringent degree. So when I started, and FODMAPs are essentially a bunch of different sugars. I don't know the technical terms for it. Feel free to Google it if you're interested. Bunch of different sugars in different types of food we eat. And I just, slightly off topic, but I'm just scratching a mosquito bite because I went out yesterday and near the beach area and with my friend, and there was a little walkway like overlooking the beach, and there was like plants and shrubs on both sides, and I have like mosquito bites from my thighs to my ankles, so that's annoying. But yeah. Low FODMAP. Yes, I don't know the technical terms of the different sugars, so feel free to look it up if you're interested. When I started on the diet, it was cutting out a bunch of food, like a bunch of foods, including like veggies, fruits, nuts. Meat and protein is okay for me, so long as it's not marinated with high FODMAP stuff. I was on the diet, and Monash has done research, and there's like on the app they class things as safe foods. Essentially, it's like green, yellow, red. Green is safe foods. Yellow is like ambient, like maybe you can have some. Red is high FODMAP. When I just started on the low FODMAP diet, I stuck to purely green, ambivalent to touch yellow or red, because I was just scared of like more pain. I was just like constantly experiencing pain for like 2.5 years, and I wanted to reduce that as much as possible. So I stuck with green safe foods. And on the topic of eating out and just eating in general, it was a very stressful period for me. Like going from eating anything and everything, eating and drinking anything and everything, to now being on this restrictive diet is a very radical change to my health lifestyle, because now I have to be conscious of everything I basically put into my system. That was very stressful. And then now being on low FODMAP and having food intolerance makes me realize privilege about eating, just the fact of being able to eat anything and everything without consequences to my health. Yeah, that's something this whole food intolerance thing has also taught me, but probably for a later video or later in the video. So yes, low FODMAP was interesting to say the least. I think it helped me, like it definitely helped me as time go on, but I don't remember. I think it helped me, but I can't recall from like 4 years ago. Yeah, I think it helped. And I was like very particular about stuff. Like I kept like a food diary and everything and tried to take it as seriously as possible. It was just a lot of work. It was very, very tedious just adjusting my diet like that. Something I'm not used to either. And also, I think I said it before, there weren't many options when I was first diagnosed in 2018, like eating out, restaurants, there weren't many gluten-free options and dairy-free options, and even products in supermarkets such as bread, cereal. It was scarce when I was first diagnosed. It's a lot better now. Like now, many restaurants can accommodate. Supermarkets have gluten-free options, dairy-free options, a lot of vegan options now. Like vegan options tend to be safe for me because it's typically dairy-free and a lot of it can be gluten-free too. So, but yeah, back then it's very scarce. So just finding stuff I could eat was just very stressful. So I think from like when I was diagnosed and saw a dietitian and went on low FODMAP, I think I went on for like a few months. Because I don't remember exactly the precise number, but I remember this when 2019 started, I thought that the whole ordeal was over because I think I went off low FODMAP. Yes, I went off low FODMAP start of 2019, and I ate everything and anything again. I just went full reign because I thought it was over, like that being on low FODMAP was a temporary thing so that my gut can sort of reset itself, if that makes sense. Reset itself, cut all the foods that it doesn't like, reset itself, a few months, and then I'm back on the track and I can go about doing the things I usually do, like eat whatever I want. That worked for a while until it came crashing down again. Yeah, start 2019, I ate stuff like I ate KFC again, I ate hot pot, I ate everything again. And then I had no pain. I had no pain, I had no symptoms. It was as if the whole situation never happened. And I'm like, wow, like I was so happy. I thought it was like actually over. Until mid 2019 where I started getting pain again. Severe pain hit me again and I'm like, well fuck, this is not over. I still found it interesting how those months though, start of 2019 to like mid-year, it was fine. Like I was actually fine. Like I had no pain, nothing. And then fuck, it hit me again pain hit me again mid 2019. And then I went back on low FODMAP. And then I've been on low FODMAP to this day. And I'll elaborate more on what I meant by more stringent. So at that time too, I was also very cautious about like eating anything in the red. Also, I should also say with low FODMAP, I'm saying also a lot, but yes. With low FODMAP, it's not meant to be a lifelong thing. It's meant to be going off it, I guess, to help reset the gut is what my understanding is, and working with the dietitian help the person, in this case me, reintroduce higher FODMAP foods in and just trial and error. A lot of figuring out what I can eat and what I can't eat and tolerate, because a lot of the journey is about figuring out what I can eat and what I can't eat, because everyone's different and not everything that is in the red of high FODMAP is stuff that I can't eat. It's very dependent on the particular food itself. And it was a lot of trial and error. If I ate something and I get pain, and I'll make a mental note of it. And then if I eat something else, I don't get pain, I'll make a mental note of it. And how I became less stringent on what I didn't eat is I just started trying things. I guess after seeing a dietitian for a while, I started getting the hang of what I'm meant to be doing. So I just I self-tested, as in I tried things in pieces, as in like something in the high FODMAP category, I will eat like, say if it's watermelon was something I avoided, which I can eat perfectly fine now, I had like half a triangle. And then if it's fine, then the next day or the day after that, I'll have a bigger piece and I'll just note symptoms. Sometimes I do get pain with certain foods. Like I used to avoid eating apples because I got pain from it. And then I started reintroducing it in like over time, and now I can eat full-on apples, like a whole apple, and not get any symptoms. Yeah, part of this is also psychological, and I'll touch on gut-directed hypnotherapy later, which I'm actually starting. Yeah, so part of it is like psychological too, because I associate it with pain. Like I associate all high FODMAP foods with pain, including apples and watermelon, which I eat perfectly fine now. And so every time I eat it, my body screams, ah, in pain. And then as I start training, it's like, this is tolerable, this is tolerable, this amount's tolerable. Just basically working my way up like this. And then as that level becomes tolerable, I just add a little bit more, and then that becomes tolerable, and I add a little bit more, and that becomes tolerable, and I add a little bit more, and it becomes tolerable. And then that's how I've been doing stuff with basically a lot everything I've been avoiding. And that's how now I eat everything except for gluten, onion, garlic, and dairy. Dairy is an interesting one. I'll also touch on that a little later. But gluten and onion and garlic just seems to be really bad for me. Like it's just pain. And actually, I'll just touch on gut-directed hypnotherapy now because it just fits. And then I'll follow up with the dairy stuff, which is sort of different. I had my first consult with a psychophysiologist this week for gut-directed hypnotherapy, and apparently it has an 80% success rate, and it works just as well as a low FODMAP diet, except that after doing the gut-directed hypnotherapy, I won't have to be so restrictive with eating onion, garlic, and gluten and the stuff I've been avoiding all these years. And the professional I saw was explaining that imagine if you have a wound and you put a band-aid over it. Like the low FODMAP diet is basically a band-aid solution to this whole thing. Like I don't get unwell from eating intolerable foods because I avoid it. It's like putting a band-aid on it. But what gut-directed hypnotherapy does is it targets the hypersensitive nerves in my gut directly. It's like using psychological therapy to help with physical needs, which I find very, very interesting as a psych nerd and someone who loves psych and work in mental health. So basically, she also explained it as building my threshold level up. Like my threshold level for the things I can't eat are awfully low. And through gut-directed hypnotherapy, hopefully bring up my tolerance level to higher so I can actually eat some to a degree and not be so in pain. So if my level is like all the way like at 0 right now, if I build my tolerance up to, for example, 60-70%, I can still eat some without my gut crying because it's hypersensitive to the certain foods that I've associated to be with high FODMAP. So yeah. So an analogy I have for the gut nerves being hypersensitive is when I had severe social anxiety. It's like the sort of saying hi to people, the sort of someone coming to the front door of my house, like even a random person, say for example the mail person or anyone, my anxiety goes nup and I just be like run away and be like, no, this is too much, I don't want to deal with this, and it's just too painful. It just freaks out basically. I freaked out because my anxiety was heightened up here. So that's the same with my gut nerves with gluten, onion, garlic, where even eating a little bit, it's like, no, the stuff I don't like, So, and as for the dairy stuff, it's a little different because even last year, I already had cut out onion, garlic, and onion, garlic, and gluten from my diet, right? Because I know those give me pain and make me feel awful. So I've cut out that from my diet for a while now. Dairy, I did not know was also a problem because I used to take lactase or lactase enzymes, which helps digest lactose in dairy products. The logic in my head is I can have dairy because I'm taking lactase every time I have dairy, therefore that should help break it down and for me to digest. Therefore, I should not have problems with dairy. Little did I know that is awfully incorrect because I realized that and I cut out dairy for 2-3 months now. This starting like 2-3 months ago, and I don't feel clogged and I don't get bloated. So dairy was part of the problem and I didn't know that. Just building on that, the interesting part is I didn't believe that dairy was a problem. Like the connection didn't exist in my mind that dairy would cause me to my gut to clog and me to feel awful and bloated and just heavy. I did not make that link in my head. And even then, like the interesting part is maybe gut directed hypnotherapy won't be able to help with this, because even though I didn't like psychologically, I had no association with dairy and gut issues because I had lactase. So it will be interesting to see how that relates, how that would work in the context of gut-directed hypnotherapy and raising the threshold for me to have dairy. This is something I want to talk to with the professional I'm seeing. So very interesting content and learning. So yeah, that's the journey. It's been it's been a while, like back since the whole thing started, and I can't believe it's been over 4 years. Yeah, it's a lot less strenuous now. Like I don't have to use too much mental energy to figure out my diet, because I've already figured it out along the years, and now I'm just cutting out gluten, onion, garlic, and dairy, and I can eat everything else in, yeah, some things more in moderation than others, but yeah, it's just a lot less stressful now after I've gone through this whole thing, because I know myself. I know what my body and my gut can tolerate and what it can't tolerate. So yeah, one positive that's actually come out of me having food intolerance is that I've been eating a lot healthier. Like before I was diagnosed with IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome, and learned that certain foods really set off my gut. I ate junk food and had so much sugar. Like it was unbelievable how much I didn't eat well because of all the options in the free reign. And now I should also mention that high amounts of sugar just gives me severe pain. Like if I don't drink full sugar bubble tea anymore. I used to have full sugar bubble tea. I don't know how I did that and tolerated it. Full sugar bubble tea, like, and high sugar drinks, I'm just like, no, now I go no sugar, or if I am YOLOing with sugar, being very intentional about when I do it and not do it constantly, because my gut hates high sugar. I should also say it's like doesn't tolerate like artificial sugar. Well, if I eat like fruit, that is fine. My gut like has no issues with that. If I drink like an entire bottle of Coke though, which I haven't done before, and hypothetically if I did it right now, my gut would be crying in pain, and so I would get severe pain from the sugar intake and the amount of sugar in my gut at one time. Yeah, it's mostly artificial. Like if I eat like rice, if I eat like a meal of rice, which is rice is sugar, that has no problems for me. If I drink a can of Coke, full sugar, or full sugar bubble tea, or something like that, my gut hates it. So yeah, back to the eating healthy topic. Yeah, this whole food intolerance ordeal and experience has taught me to eat healthier, and I'm actually glad it happened, because otherwise past 4 years I will still be eating junk food and not consider my health properly. I'm not saying I don't eat junk food now. I do eat pizza sometimes. I do eat like burgers sometimes, but I'm much more intentional about it and more mindful of it, and not just eating it because, oh, I feel like eating it and I can eat it, so I'm just gonna eat it, like type thing. It's being a lot more mindful. This whole thing has taught me to be a lot more mindful about how I nourish my body and what I eat and drink, and how food and drink affects my mood and my mental state. Everything links for me. If my physical health isn't well, it tends to drag my mental health down. If my mental health's not well, it tends to drag my physical health down. It's very hard for me personally for one to happen without affecting the other. It never happens independently of the other. Like, I can't be physically unwell and then mentally on top of the world. Like, it just doesn't happen. It affects each other to a degree. Sometimes it affects each other. It drags the other one down really bad. Sometimes it doesn't drag the other one down so badly. It depends on the thing I'm experiencing. Is it pain? Is it bloating? What is my mental health state like? Like, it depends on how bad it is, basically, and what it is. The other thing it's taught me is to be grateful for what my body can do and what I am able to do before it's gone. Like, as I mentioned earlier in the video, before I realized it was food that was the problem, and I was diagnosed with IBS and had to go on low FODMAP, is I ate and drank anything I wanted at my free will, and I had no care in the world, or gave second thought to how is this going to affect my body and whatnot, because I had no pain. I mean, I did have pain, but I didn't know it was food. Just being able to eat and drink without consequences, such as pain, bloating, diarrhea, feeling sick, etc. Worst one was severe pain though. Yeah, just being grateful for that. And the other thing is it's shed a light on accessibility in terms of food needs, both at restaurants and in supermarkets. As in, what I mean is having options for people who require the food to be tailored in a way that meets what they can have. For example, there are certain restaurants I can't eat at because they pre-make stuff. It has stuff I can't eat or stuff that I'm intolerant to, such as a lot of soup-based foods like hot pot. They pre-make the soup, which typically and usually has onion and garlic in it, or certain foods that people marinate in advance, or stuff like fast food where they pre-make stuff and whatever you order they scoop into a box and give it to you for takeaway. Like, those stuff I can't have. The only stuff I can eat at restaurants is stuff they make from scratch, where I tell them not to put certain stuff in and then they make it accordingly. Stuff that's already pre-made is basically a no-go unless miraculously it has no gluten, onion, garlic or dairy, which is basically never. For things of not having 4 of those things at the same time, basically never. That's why, yeah, in terms of restaurants, I didn't really give second thought to this before I had realized I had food intolerance. Just how some people don't have the privilege to eat freely without worrying about what certain foods would do to them, including me. And in terms of supermarket, I also mentioned before, there's a lot more accessibility now than when I was first diagnosed in 2018. For example, when I was first diagnosed, I could not find any gluten-free cereal whatsoever, gluten-free cereal bars, gluten-free bread at supermarkets was practically non-existent. Now there's a lot more options now, which is really good because it means it's starting to get more understood. It's being recognized more. Food companies are making food to tailor to people with different needs, which is very important. Yeah, that's all I had for this video. I'm looking at the clock, it's like 4 minutes from midnight. Yes, I filmed this video very late because I had thoughts and this topic was just something on my mind I wanted to talk about for a while. And I think I'm avoiding looking at the camera a lot because I've had a really bad headache today. And looking at the camera frequently just is a lot of mental energy and emotional energy I think that I don't have right now. So apologies if, yeah, I've been avoiding looking at the camera directly for at points throughout this video. Yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed. And again, if this video has helped one person out there, I'm a happy guy. If anyone has food allergies and would like to share the pain of it and talk about it, I'm very open to that too. Feel free to leave me a comment or email me. Yeah, I'll see y'all in the next video, and Sleepy Lev out.